Thank you to the Meritto team to invite me all the way from India here to have a face-to-face interaction with some of the elitist education professionals from the Middle Eastern region. So very, very glad, first of all, to be here. I was enjoying the earlier session, and I'll take the liberty of picking certain things that were said in the earlier panel and how those are relevant not only for the education community that we are here for, but also as a business driver, as an entrepreneur that resides in each one of us. So there's a lot that has been written about the Aakash story. There are lessons and there are talks about, the success story that got built, and it has been compared to a unique phenomena, etc., etc. But let me tell you, there is no secret sauce. What we have been able to do is do the same boring work every day for 30 years. We have not done anything new. We have not created something unique. It just got created by the virtue of doing the same boring thing over and over again, which was a repeated, monotonous work, but with a very small differentiation that we had a very clear intent behind what we were doing. So our intent was very clean, that if there is a student that is walking into our doors, I am committed to deliver an outcome for that child. As long as I'm delivering outcome for that customer, student, client, whatever name you want to give it to, as long as that is being delivered, they keep coming back to you. They keep increasing in numbers. They keep outperforming because that is giving us additional cash flow to keep innovating our daily mundane job. So, what I've tried to do here is put together some slides just to give you perspective in a very sequential manner as to how this all got decoded. Because when you're working and doing something, you're not really, putting strategy slides then. So all of these strategy slides come after. When you reflect on what you have done, oh, we have done these things. Maybe those are the things that we did resulted into this thing. Let me document it. So what you will see today here is reflection of my thoughts on what went into the making of this story and what were those lessons. And if some of those lessons or events that I will narrate here resonate with you, are relevant with you, my job will be done. At least my outcome will be delivered. So, I've talked about this, there are two words written here, break boundaries. And in my mind, when I reflect on our journey, these are two very important words. Because more often than not, I experience my teachers, my administrators, my managers, my presidents, vice president, whosoever was working in the company, including me, we were only and only limited by the boundaries which were given to us. That you can do this much, your role defines you to this much. So we would retain ourselves into those boundaries. I think one of the things that I realized in our journey that led to our success was knowingly, unknowingly, we were able to break those boundaries. And we started to think bigger. We started to go deeper. We started to question our roles and responsibility. We started to question our success. We started to question our failures. And I think as long as we continue to do that, we delivered exceptional outcomes not only for our customers, students, parents, but also our shareholders and stakeholders at the end of the day, and making a great phenomena for the society or a great template for the society that can get copied and more success can be seen. It's only showing the punch. You're missing the rest of it. All right, so, few disclaimers. A lot of time people, talk about, some of the vanity matrices, valuation, GMV, this, that. I'm sure you all also hear, these kind of terms. So I'm not going to be talking about any of these vanity metrics. I'll talk very simple, how to build business, how we did it. If there are some lessons from it, most welcome to discuss those when we get a free time out here. And I'm not going to talk about valuation. I'm going to talk about creating value, because fortunately we are in an industry, or we were in an industry, and reflecting to what you guys are in, the more good we do, the better business we do, the more value we create, there is this tremendous amount of impact the society receives. Selling mobile phone, only the companies are getting better, but in terms of creating societal impact, we were so fortunate that we were part of the education services, that the more doctors and IITians we were delivering, we were somewhere in our mind feeling so happy that, some villages, some districts will change their lives forever, because this kid, when they go back to their village or district, they will create an impact because of the success that they got. So our focus was purely create value in your program. And when we kept doing this value creation exercise, somewhere the valuation got created. So we were not running behind that. So there's a very, very clear message here, a disclaimer here, that most of the conversation will be around building the business, driving value, nothing else. So now, Now this is a slide which is actually our story, and a story of most businesses. You may want to call it 0 to 1, 1 to 10, starting the startup, doing the grunt work, doing everything on your own. And then slowly, you reach a stage where you are in that 1 to 10 category. But in our case, this was number of centers. So when I reflect on the business, I reflect in my own language. When we had one center, we were putting all our energies here. When we had more than one centers in a city, our geography was like that. When we had more centers across 2 different cities, and then we had more centers across India, and then we had a global presence in terms of number of centers or in terms of revenue. And this is how most of the people start their journey, and this is what they aim at. And I think for us to reach, when we exited the business, we were about 250 centers in India, doing about $200 million of revenue. And at that stage, my focus was always here, because each center behaved like a startup, behaved like that they have to create a company out of it. And I think that is the key point which I want to deliver, that if we have to deliver an enterprise, our unit level thinking cannot go away. And I think that is where most companies attract or lap on so much fat that they die under the pressure of their own cost, their own complexities, their own challenges. And I think that is something we learned from a parent. We were going the wrong way. One day a parent came to me and said, why should I take admission in your Bombay center when all your results are coming from Delhi center? All your outcomes are there. I said, that's the outcome of the brand. He said, but my kid will never travel 500 kilometers to your Delhi center, because I live here, I work here, my family is here, my child's school is here. What about this center's result? And I think that clicked my mind, that if I don't create excellence at my every location, soon I'll be wiped out, because there is a guy waiting outside my door to capture my students and create a local excellence, which will create a phenomena and attract all the clients that I plan to have for my business. And I think that small 15-minute conversation led us to change the strategy of our entire company. And we started to look at that every single center must deliver on outcomes, must deliver on individual P&L, and as a result, the cumulative effect of our result, the cumulative result of our revenues and profitability was exceptional. So our ability to hear what the market wants and ability to break the boundaries and go inside and make those large changes turned out to be a so-called secret success for us to scale this business, which was never scalable. Like before us, I think the next competitor in the market had about 80 locations in India, and we were 250, 3 times higher. With a very simple reason that we treated each and every unit as an independent, performing entrepreneurial unit, which was responsible for a task aligned to our vision of giving outcomes to the student of that city. And I think that led to, creating this. And I think this is where most people get stuck. This is where my father started as a single botany teacher. And when he gathered the courage, he said, okay, morning I'll be at Center 1, evening I'll be at Center 2, and rest will franchise. I don't want to do this business. I just want to teach. Very, very typical of an entrepreneurial mindset that if I move out from my work location, what will happen behind me? People will not work, quality will not be same, I'll struggle. And I think this is the trap that most entrepreneurs struggle to get out of, and they are always categorized into a unit called SMB, small and medium businesses, and they struggle to cross over to an enterprise level setup. And I think for us, this became possible again in a very funny situation. I used to work in a company called Cognizant in India, and I was going for a 4-year project to Australia, a company called Telstra or something, and I called my parents, this is back in 2006, that I'm heading there, and I was getting married, so we're going to have a nice, long honeymoon, 4 years, no family to disturb, nothing, great location. Then comes a call, my dad calls me, he said, come back to Delhi, man. And I go back, and he's talking about his problem that he's stuck. Outside of 2 centers, I have nothing, it's all franchise. How do we do this? And I don't know how many of you are in family business or aware of family business dynamics. The father-son equation, the brother-brother equation, all of that was playing in my head. I said, I can't work with you. It's very difficult. I'll propose, you'll dispose, and it'll go on for like a decade, and we'll end up with nothing. So he proposed me a very seemingly funny idea, but a very, very effective idea. He said, we have managed this in a city I'm able to manage. Why don't you take a franchise of Aakash in another city? And I looked at my mother. I said, he's going to charge commission from his own son? Is he for real? And my mom is like, I don't know your business, just manage with him. So I was annoyed. I said, who asked commission from his own son? He said, you're not learning under me. So long story short, I go to Bombay and as a franchisee, that's where my journey started. I think those 3 years that I spent there taught me everything about this business. And I kept asking myself, that, if we have come from Delhi to Bombay, can't we go into other locations? What's stopping us? And I kept thinking, and the answer came to me, a very small discussion that I had with one of my students. I don't know if anybody's aware of Bombay dynamics in terms of geography, very, very busy city, traffic. This kid calls me from a place called Navi Mumbai, and our centers were in Andheri, which is western part of Mumbai. And he said, you guys have come all the way to Delhi, can't you come to me? I said, dude, you are 10 kilometers away. I agree, but that's like 3 hours in Bombay traffic. So we can't do this. But then somehow, I managed the courage, convinced my father. I said, we must go there. And I opened another franchise, took another commission-giving enterprise to him, opened another franchise. And there I realized what are the bottlenecks. Like at one center, I was not feeling it. When I opened 2 centers, I said, teacher is a bottleneck, manager is a bottleneck, distribution, supply chain of books is a bottleneck. Everything is stopping my growth. And I think those experiences allowed me to reflect on the problems that I had and how can I solve that. So what I'm trying to tell to you, that in a nutshell, most businesses are stuck in that. And the only way to break those barriers is to first break the mental barrier. That yes, these systems, these units can run better than the way I am running if I get the right talent, right process, and right audit process in place that can ensure quality. And I be on top of that. This will work. So we tried that. So from one center, I opened second center. From second, I opened third center. From third, then we entered the Pune market, which is also about 2 hours away from Bombay. So I think I tested a lot of my thesis there. And after 3 years of working there, I got a call again from my father. He said, I'm almost 60 plus. Why don't you come and help me in Delhi? So I packed my bag from Bombay and I come to Delhi to replicate at a faster pace with more resources the same planning that I was doing in Bombay all over the country. There were so many fortunate situations for me because I got a better talent, better resources. We got lucky because the entrance exam structures in India were going through an evolution and they went in our favor so that we can enter into the South India market, Western India market, and other markets in the country. And we grabbed that opportunity and went ahead to create this enterprise. It is so coincidental that today I'm talking about this story, and a very, very dear friend of mine, Kushan Bhavna, with whom I was banking with in Bombay when I went as a franchisee, incidentally are based in Dubai. So I invited them. I said, well, you should come and hear this. So, this is what I was talking about, 10 crore to 50 crore. If I were to convert that into USD, is about $1.25 million to about $6-7 million. So this is the ceiling. This dotted line is the ceiling, and this is where most businesses are stuck. And while I'm taking example of businesses, and I think this is where most of the career progressions are also stuck. We have done enough. Is it my role? Is it my KRA? How will it impact? Let me secure my job. Let me not take the risk. So I think everybody is in a different context, stuck in somewhere in a glass ceiling, and you cannot go forward, cannot progress unless until you break this glass ceiling. And that's exactly what we continue to do by a very simple motto, Do what is required, not what you want. Because you may want comfort, you may want security, but business necessarily do not want security and comfort. Business wants drive. Business wants hunger. Business wants hustle. So I think that this one single motto allowed us to keep going behind our, now it looks like a mission, behind our moat, that I have to make the lives of a deserving student anywhere in India much better than what they are right now in. To give them quality education, great assessment, great teaching system, pedagogy, technology, whatever it took. And that is what we kept doing, what was required, not what we wanted or what we were trained for. We went beyond that. We again broke some boundaries there. And I think this is very important, especially in today's context where everybody wants to build a large business too soon. It's a long road. What's the hurry? There's no hurry. In Hindi, they say, Jaldi ka kaam shaitan ka. Anybody who's in hurry is a devil. And I think that this was very, very, convenient and okay with us because we were on a long-term marathon that said, we are not here to build the business overnight. It's a long and winding road and we were okay with it. We're not in a hurry that I want to become a billionaire in a week, in a month or in a year. In fact, that was not even the objective. Our objective is not that, we'll have 1,000 centers all over the country, 30 million students next year. So we were not in that hurry. And what it allowed us is to take momentary breaks, get breathers, take a sip of water, stretch, and then go back in. Because we were not in mad rush. We were taking our time, we were baking our meals, and we were eating it hot, fresh, and well cooked. And that allowed us great digestive system. We were not throwing up here and there because we were too much in hurry. So I'm referring to a lot of common analogies so that I can bring home the point, and maybe that's the limitation of my communication skills that I can relate to only those. But this is something that really helped us, take the point home and build this organization. I spoke about intent, and with this small word intent, which is so very powerful, I want to relate to an example that I heard not once but many times in different platforms, in different contexts. There's a very famous entrepreneur and a philanthropist out of India, Mr. K.K. Birla. And he was very popularly known for making a lot of temples. So one of his temple site, he was just walking, and he met this worker, and he asked this worker, "What are you doing?" He said, "Birla ji, I am breaking stones." He said, "Okay, very good." He walks up to another guy. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm breaking stones and I'm laying bricks for this building." He said, "Okay, great." When he went ahead and met the third guy, he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I am making a temple." So, from breaking a stone or a brick or laying a brick to a philosophy and an intent and a commitment of making a temple, the intent of three workers were very, very different. And that's exactly what I want to say, that our intent when a student would walk in was not to maximize the fees, was not to do a conversion, was not to calculate our cost of acquisition. When a student walked in, our objective was very simple. can we understand what this child wants? And once we understand it, can we match it to a program that can deliver an outcome that he or she is expecting? So if your intent is that, people line up and they don't leave. There are no discussions of retentions and stickiness, and all those don't come up. Because what you're trying to do is build an edifice which is revered, and it has a team that is building with the right intent, is to give great education, great outcomes to the people who are walking into this edifice. And that's the philosophy we use, and that enabled us to build what we built. A lot of times when people are doing their business, they forget that things are changing around them. The world is changing, the staff retrenchment, people are changing, and somewhere in the process they forget to define what they were doing. Because the people who started with know it well, but people who join the journey may not know it well, or may not know it with same intensity and same reason as the entrepreneur or the founder or the founding team or the earlier management thought about it. So it's very, very important that you define what you're doing, because if you don't define, people will define what is convenient to them. If I don't tell people what I do, what I stand for, what is my mission clearly, then people are at liberty to define themselves. And I've seen that in our own example of building the company, where we didn't bother defining what we are doing. We are so busy doing our work, and we were called the classes wale, coaching wale. I said, the amount of hard work that we are doing, the amount of systems that we are putting, the amount of talent that we are attracting is not less than any good organization in this country. Then why is this definition stopping a better talent to join us? And I think that's where I made it a point that I define what we are and what we stand for. And in the further slides, you'll see that, how that helped us, not only creating a perception that was important for all our stakeholders, but also invite some of the really, really top talent that industry had never seen, especially in coaching. Most people start with why, and somehow I don't agree with that. Because for a simple reason, when you start a business, start a job, most of the time you're not clear why you're doing it. I think if you can start with what you're doing, it's a great point. And in the process, you realize that whatever you're doing, you're feeling connected to it because it is aligned to your vision, mission, aspiration, whatever you want to call it. So this is what I think is very important when you're defining your story, what you're doing, why are you doing it, how are you doing, that's the differentiation. How am I doing as a coaching versus this coaching versus that coaching? What is my way of doing it? Am I a quota model where I call all the students to a location? Or am I an Aakash model where I'll go to all the locations? So this is something that you need to define. What is your modus operandi when you execute your business? And we defined it very, very clearly so that our students were not confused, our parents were not confused, our marketeers were not confused in their communication. Nobody was confused. And that led people to deliver on what we had defined ourselves on. In fact, I've always felt that if somebody else is doing a great job in something that I am not meant to do, I have not defined it to do, then I'm not jealous. I'm not concerned. You do well. So, somewhere it became so easy for us when we defined ourselves in a very clean way, the others just stopped mattering to us. We do this, they are doing that, that's not our market. And that allowed us to put all our energies into very slim strip of our philosophy that everything started to perform. So, one thing I realized when we were making many multi-location outfits, people were getting confused. So this is a great student, this is a great school, this is a great market, I need this, I need this benefit, that benefit. This guy did, an excessive selling, excessive discounting. This teacher is behaving like this way, that way. I would get all those, comments from all over the country. I said, I can't give them a gazillion answers every day. So for us, it became so important to define our operating principle that this is what we'll do, this will not do, period. So when I defined these principles, for example, zero tolerance on integrity. Even if you steal 10 rupees, even if you bunk a class, you'll be fired. Things became so easy. Before that, so the guy was not well, he forgot to inform, this, that, okay, give him benefit of doubt, this. When I defined my principles around my culture, around my values, around the integrity, around how much I love my team, things became so simple. People knew it. This company will not tolerate this, but they will tolerate this. And things stopped coming to me for answers because I had defined certain strong principles in the company and people were made aware of it. These are your borderlines. You're not crossing that because these are not the principles on which this company will be built. So I think it's very important when you're in your journey, something that is working for you and can steal away productive time back to you, you must create a principle around it. You have 24 hours, I have 24 hours. This is the same unit we have. And how we utilize that makes the entire difference. And for me, I find it easy to create those principles and then move on with my life without any confusion. I remember when I came back to Delhi, we were struggling to hire teachers. And we made our first plan to go to campus recruitment for a coaching class. Very unheard of. For the placement talk, I went myself to about 7-8 colleges across North India, some top colleges like IITs and NIITs and some of those colleges. And I realized my first PPT was a failure. I couldn't tell people why they should leave a tech job or a finance job or an iBanking job or a manufacturing job or a silicon semiconductor job and come and teach 8 hours a day in a coaching class and paid the same or probably less. And that's where I said, I'm not here to hire them. I'm here to inspire them and give them a story. And that's where we decided that now we know who we are, we need to build a story. Because if we don't build the story, others will create their own stories. And I experienced that when I went for the placement talk, they had a story about me already in their mind. And it is very, very important that whatever mission and vision you have, you need to create a story, a unique story about who you are, why do you want me, and where will you take me? Because that's number one thing for a job seeker. What are you going to do with me? How are you going to grow me monetarily, professionally, personally? And my story had a very clear roadmap, step by step. You come here, you join me, and this is where I will take you in 5 years. This is my promise. And I think that story people bought. And I realized, why are they buying the story? Because they wanted to cut the uncertainties. The moment I talked about vision with certainty, people bought it. And once they bought it, because of the nature and the culture of the organization, we went behind to make it possible. It had to work both ways. Great idea with great execution. A great idea without execution would have been a dream. So we had to couple it with the execution. So when you are writing your missions and visions and talking about it, I think it's better to narrate that into a story that is understandable, recognizable by the audience who you're trying to inspire, to bring along, to bring them on board. A lot of time we get so busy in our day-to-day, we forget what's making money in my business. I thought opening centers, at some point in time when we were about 100 centers and we were rolling in a lot of money, I got distracted. And I thought opening center is how you make money. And there came a time when my performance started to go down. And we again got back to the drawing board and started reflecting what's going on. We are 100 to 120 centers now. We're still not making the mark. What's going wrong? And we realized that it's not the center that is making money. It is the results of this students that is making money for us. It is not the swanky infrastructure and a corner building that makes money for us. It is to be in a coaching mandi that makes money for us. So it's very, very important what makes money, what moves the balls in your business. You may be putting your energy, your efforts into something that's not important. And I hear that and I see that in some of the new coaching companies that have sprung up. I got an opportunity to talk to a few of them. And I was amazed. They invited me. They said, come and look at our bathrooms. I said, how's the bathroom got to do with the teaching? They're clean, they're hygienic, and it's the great environment we are giving. I said, that's fine. But some things are hygiene as in basics, they're given. So this is given. You don't have to brag about that this will make money for you. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to be very, very crystal clear that what makes the green bills in your business. While we were at 200 centers, biggest test prep company, every day we will get an opportunity. Sir, you're doing so well in this field. Why don't you enter into this field? I have a player. This market is waiting for you to enter. This market is also waiting for you to enter. And one of those discussions was, Middle East is a great market for you. You must come, must come, must come. And we did fall into the trap. We tried some early experiments and we quickly realized we can't have it all. We can't have it all. We put all our energies back and continued on our journey to be the king of medical and IIT and NEET and JEE as a market in the vast ocean of education test prep in country. I said, let us be the king and known for this. And if so be the case or opportunity for other markets, we will partner or we will acquire, but will not do 0 to 1 journey in any other thing than something like this. Because when we reflected deeply, I realized that I was just 6% of the medical IIT market. I had everything going for me. A great momentum, great brand, great team, great strategy, everything. And I was just 6%. I said, let me just target 94% and forget about this and that. And if I need to get into that, my strategy would be either I go ahead and acquire a king in that market, or I partner with another king and expand my offering in a synergistic manner where we both benefit mutually. This is a very, very important slide for entrepreneurs, for professionals, for anybody who is into B2C segment. I think I have crossed certain restaurants from my list of going back because I had a bad experience at the reception. I've crossed certain restaurants because I had a great experience at the reception, but I had a bad experience at the table. I've crossed certain because I had a great experience at reception, great table experience, but a very poor exit experience at the time of billing. And I reflect on my business. Customer service is not a silo, it is end to end. When a customer enters, the program is delivered, and a student exits and becomes an alum. This is a whole journey, and you can't drop the ball before that is delivered. If you drop the ball at any of these stages, you're missing the point. So we made it our mission that our job doesn't get done when a student comes on board. It gets done when a student exits and gets what he or she's been wanting to have. So every touch point. And this is where we laid our entire emphasis. Why do customers pay for our products and services? Because they're getting what they paid for. If they're not getting what they paid for, if you're not bothered that this kid who have taken in the undergrad program has gotten a job in the field and the location that he or she aspired to be, your job is not done. You've just done the sale. You have not built the business. And for us, it was important that this child who has walked in, if he or she has not entered the doors of an IIT or a top medical college, our job is not done. So we were obsessed about the eventual outcome. That if a customer has paid, they must get back their due. And if they're not getting back their due, for whatever reason, no one will blame themselves, they'll always blame the organization. Conveniently. And that becomes, because we are in a business of word of mouth. You can't build such organization by putting $1 billion, multi-million-dollar advertisements only. So it's a word of mouth business. And you must show back to the consumer. This is another learning that we got. We would send a report showing very clearly, you came in, your marks were this, we took you through 600 hours of training, about 120 test papers, these many discussions, you got an outcome, and you are a doctor now. I said, thank you. Job done. This is what I paid for. So it's not about you've delivered a job, you know that the guy has gotten what he wanted or she wanted. Job is not done. You need to bring and close that loop, document it, put it out there, that this is what we delivered. Listen from this person. I think it's self-explanatory. Anything good that is happening, Dubai as a destination, UAE as an ecosystem is not accidental. Somebody had a vision, His Highness, carefully worked behind that vision and created quality. So quality, if you see anywhere, I can write on a piece of paper, it's not an accident. It's a carefully treaded path. It's a hard work that has gone in to build that quality. It doesn't come just like that. America, Europe, the centuries of work that has happened behind it. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen accidentally. There is a very well thought through process that has gone behind making that. And more often than not, that is achieved not by an external consultant. It is coming from inside. And I think that is what I was also distracted. That I'll bring the best talent from outside and this and that. But it took me 2 years to sensitize them that what are we doing? What's important for us? So we switched gears. I started training, retraining, orienting, sending my staff to some of the key programs all over the country from top institutions, top consultants. I said, don't come and tell me, tell them so that they can absorb it and they tell me and then they build it with me. And I think the inside-out innovation really worked for us, where we depended on a consultant to train my team and not come and work from outside. Because I realized, I read somewhere, when you crack an egg from outside, you kill a life. When an egg cracks from inside, you give a life. And that's what I realized we can't miss out on. We have to give life. That innovation has to come from inside. If they are lacking in a skill, I'll provide for it. I'll work for it. And we'll invest behind it because we are not in a hurry. We are here for long. It'll take 5 years. So be it. But after 5 years, like a bamboo which grows inside the ground for 5 months and the 6 months probably shoots up, is going to be the similar story for us, and which sort of turned out as I reflect back. And we always believed in there has to be a long goal. We are not in a hurry, but we need to take daily steps. We need to keep doing that boring job every single day of climbing one step at a time, second step next day, third step, because we had a vision in front and we were not afraid of doing these mundane tasks on a day-to-day basis. I think as you're going in this journey, things go bad. COVID happens, IPO failure happens, bad acquisition happens. So all kind of things happen. But you have to continue to be on your plan. You don't have to budge. Because I've also seen one thing very clearly, that when failures are happening, earlier I would get disturbed, and my father tells me one thing very clearly, कि अगर मुश्किल आ रही है, if you are in trouble, you are being challenged, you should thank God that the superior power has chosen you to get a better training. And when do you get trained better? Because when you have to do better jobs. So you train harder for Olympics, right? Not for, the weekend dinner, right? So I think if you're getting tougher problems to solve, you're failing badly, miserably, you should welcome it, you should reflect on it, and continue with the conviction of the path that you have chosen. And I think we continue to do that for 30 years. And this is very interesting that I realized in my journey, mostly leaders, entrepreneurs, they get rattled either too microscopic or too macroscopic. Either they're talking continuously too much in details that they forget the bigger picture, or they're so far away from the ground reality that they forget or ignore the critical ground problems. So how did we solve it? So we would do that by this pixel method, as we named it in our company, that you go in, solve a problem, go out and see whether it's falling in place with a bigger plan. If it is not, you go in. If it is falling in place, you move along. You don't have to go deep every time. And that is something I experienced accidentally. I was out there to visit one of my centers in Gujarat, in Surat. And one thing led to another. The team over there was struggling to answer my basic questions in my discussions and my reviews. I had gone there for a 1-hour visit. I decided to spend 5 days in Surat. When I realized this team is in trouble, they don't know what they're doing. And that's precisely the pixel methodology. You go in, you find a problem, you solve it, because nobody else will understand the relevance and importance of it other than the leaders. And solve it by whatever it takes and then come out. That incident spread like wildfire in my company, and before I could reach back in Delhi, all centers had all the templates and formats and situations being communicated out of fear or whatever, that you could be the next center for the visit. And that solved the problem of audit for me. And this is an example. So we continue to experience a lot of pixel problems where we went in, solved the pixel, came out, things are looking fine, we moved along. Periodically, we would go down into the pixel, solve it, and move on. I think this is very, very important. We do something, we fail. Sometimes we drop it. But we forget that if you have failed, we just need to come back, fix the error, and see how it happens. And when you're doing these iterations and you realize that you've become a very important element of solving the problem that you started off with. Problems will come, failures will happen, learn from it, fix those errors, and you'll reach your eventual goal, whatever it was, to give a wheel. And when you're doing this, this is where I got trumped a lot of times, because I joined young and they were like PhDs and professors and this and that. I told them a very simple thing: you may be the best in your business. Sachin is the best cricketer, but he still needs a coach. So you being good at something doesn't mean that you'll stop learning. It doesn't work like that. Federer has a coach. Tiger Woods had a coach. So the more your stakes are higher, you in fact need more and more of coaching, because the stakes are higher, the complexities are way more complex, and people are looking at you. So for anyone and everyone in this room, if at any point of stage you feel that I know it all, I would like you to check in and figure out what are the areas that I need coaching on, because I have a life coach. And I swear by the process. Everybody needs a coach. Even our Honorable Prime Minister needs a coach, and he has a lot of coach around him, right from spiritual to business, that help him. Just to read it out for you: success and failure are milestones. They don't define you. A coach helps you to learn from it and move on. And in fact, sometimes people tell me when I'm doing something, it's very easy to comment from outside. Come work with me, see my day. It's full of problems and this and that, and it's easy to say that. I always say the simple thing, that if you're in a ditch and I'm in a ditch, who's going to take us out? If you're in a ditch and I'm outside the ditch, only I can take it out. So if you want to get out of the mess, you need someone outside. And someone outside not necessarily be the smartest guy outside. You just need someone outside who can throw the rope. If you both are in a ditch, God bless you. So you should always keep, these are the three components, is the entrepreneur, entrepreneur's family, family interacting with professionals, family may be in the business, may not be in the business, and then there are customers who are demanding, there are stakeholders, vendors who are demanding. So I think when you reflect on a decision, just take care of the whole ecosystem rather than this, and always keep asking, can you take a 1 month vacation? If you can't, you are in trouble. Either you are too insecure about your job, or you like to do everything by yourself, you can't trust people, or you have not taken necessary steps to build systems and processes that can work on their own, and there are audits that can keep a check and balance it in your absence. So all of that needs to be done. And you know it, Formula One, there's a lot that goes into winning a race. It's not the driver only, it's not the engine only, it's not the aerodynamics and the design of the car only, it's not the pit engineers only, it's not your coach and the manager only, it's everything. And if you think I'm the superstar in the team, sorry, you're at the wrong team. Either you make the rest of your team superstar to deliver exceptional outcomes, or just get out, or don't complain. Because exceptional outcomes need everything together, not just one. If it is only one, then the poor fellow is just dragging the entire team on the shoulders. All right, so I mean, I've spoken about it, you don't have to worry about just losing one race. Just keep your eye on the championship and keep doing the mundane thing over and over again, and soon you realize that over a long period of time you've created an exceptional story. This was my flywheel. I would invest in great teachers. Those great teachers would teach great outcomes with great experience with the students, brilliant results, attracted more students to join us. I generated higher revenue. I invested in better teachers. They taught even more better to other students. They brought even better results. More students wanted to join us, generated higher revenue, and again, the whole loop goes on. Have you figured out your flywheel? What is your flywheel? What's generating cumulative behavior in your organization? Build business that your country, your society can be proud of. And I'm going to leave the last slide here. Don't ask me questions. If you have some thoughts, let's discuss those solutions. I hope you got the gist of what I wanted to share. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Thank you.